I'm doing exceptionally well myself because the day that I'm recording this, Tuesday, August 23rd, we got the most monumental piece of news that could have possibly dropped. No, I am not talking about Andrew Tate getting his ass cheeks clapped off of various social media platforms. I will discuss that a little bit, just give my thoughts on it. But first, we got to talk about basketball, baby, because it came out that Kevin Wayne Durant, Mr. No Thoughts, No Vibes, Just Hoops. Well, I guess, I mean, I don't think that's an insult, but y'all know what I mean. Pure Hooper, Kevin Wayne Durant, Easy Money Sniper, KD Trey 5, the Slim Reaper, whatever you want to call it. Him and the Brooklyn Nets have reached a formal decision to continue their partnership for the next 4 years, meaning Mr. Durant has formally, maybe not formally, has seemingly informally rescinded the trade request that he gave to Brooklyn last month or June 30th. This came out early, relatively early on Tuesday. It says the following statement has been released by General Manager Sean Marks. Steve Nash and I, together with Joe Tsai and Clara Wusai, met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman in Los Angeles yesterday. We have agreed to move forward with our partnership. We are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: build a lasting franchise to bring a championship to Brooklyn. And this was all the rage this morning. I'm not going to brag. I'm 100% not going to brag. I actually am going to boast a little bit because throughout this whole thing, I was never fully in on the idea that Kevin Durant would get traded. I was very pessimistic toward this for multiple reasons because there was seemingly no big rift between him and the front office. I felt that, if anything, this was him issuing a sort of wake-up call to the Brooklyn Nets and their front office, being like, hey, you guys are acting unseriously. You guys are behaving like an unserious franchise. Stop fucking around. Let's go ahead. Let's go out, run it back, bring a fucking title back to Brooklyn and back to the fans. Okay? Kevin Durant does not strike me as the type of guy to just want to bail on a situation because shit wasn't going his way. And that's what the perception was like. Like, things weren't going his way, and he was being a baby about it. And I'm like, no, he's not being a baby about it. Him issuing that alleged ultimatum where it was either him or Steve Nash, I felt that was justified. And admittedly, I'm still a little upset that Steve Nash appears to be the coach going into next season, but whatever. Regardless, I did not feel that a deal was feasible because of that, because of, like, I felt that his intentions were to just get things back on the right track and to, like, shift focus and realize that they've been unlucky, yes, but they've also shot themselves in the foot more than once throughout these last couple of years. And also because a trade for a guy of Kevin Durant's magnitude is not really possible. It doesn't happen. It's not real. It's not something that goes down, especially when they're still in their prime. I mean, yeah, we saw Rudy Gobert get moved, and Rudy Gobert is a fantastic player, but he's not Kevin Durant. I mean, the Jazz are allegedly shopping Donovan Mitchell, and they haven't gotten the deal that they liked for Donovan Mitchell, let alone for Kevin Durant, who's in order of magnitude better of a player than Donovan Mitchell is. I mean, you were looking at, let's take the Boston Celtics, for example, because they were a team who was viewed as having arguably the best package for Kevin Durant. They offered Jaylen Brown plus another player plus, various picks. And I think Jaylen Brown is fantastic. And the Celtics have a bunch of solid players on that team. But you cannot go to the Brooklyn Nets, who still maintained all of this leverage, all of their leverage in this situation because they have Kevin Durant under contract for 4 years. You can't expect them not to want Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart and Robert Williams plus 4 picks. Because that is the type of haul that they were looking for. Like, that is the type of haul that could realistically land you somebody like Kevin Durant. And no team had the cachet to make that happen, or was at least willing to make it happen, because you get to a point where you're a team like Boston. You're coming off of a finals appearance, and you traded for Malcolm Brogdon. You signed Danilo Gallinari, and your team is already primed to be probably the best seed in the Eastern Conference next year. Okay, and we still have to get into how much of a fucking bloodbath it's going to be, but Why would you risk that? Why would you risk your debt? Why would you mortgage your debt? Why would you trade away so many players that you know fit for Kevin Durant? And it's because, well, he's Kevin Durant, and every team would have been salivating to get him. But that comes at a cost. Okay, we saw it with Brooklyn when they trade when well not when they traded, but when they traded for James Harden, right? They traded a sizable amount of depth to bring on James Harden. They had to let Karis LeVert go, and they had to let D'Angelo Russell go, and they had to let Jarrett Allen go to bring in KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. Now, fortunately, guys like Bruce Brown panned out quite well. Nick Claxton's developing at a decent rate. You have Cam Thomas, you have Patty Mills, you had Seth Curry, you had quality signings, but that's all luck. And I didn't think that really any team was serious about giving Brooklyn the appropriate haul. And I think all of the parties recognize that. I think that Kevin Durant recognized that, shit, it's the end of August. We're getting ready to go into training camp. We've had numerous distractions already over the last couple of years. You had the whole Kyrie Irving fiasco, which the Nets wholly mishandled. I will concede that. I'm not even going to concede that point. That's a point that I willingly agree with. The Nets fumbled that incredibly hard. You had everything with James Harden, him being out of shape, him showing up to camp out of shape, Kevin Durant allegedly having beef with him because of his seemingly non-committal attitude to the team. You have everything going on with Ben Simmons. When's he coming back? Oh, he's not coming back. Oh, he might come back for game 4 against Boston. Like, there's been so much shit going on. And Kevin Durant is a very self-aware person. This guy's chronically online. You don't think that he would pick up on people viewing him as a distraction, or as a distraction, keeping this and dragging it on into training camp, into preseason? Nobody wants that. He wants to win a championship. Like, he wants to be the guy on a championship team. And I think he conceded. And especially when you consider the fact that this team that Brooklyn has, the team that they've built going into this season, Kyrie's coming back. Brooklyn seemingly has now no intentions of trading Kyrie anymore. They have, rebuilt their relationship. Both parties are committed to one another, which I think is awesome. You have him. You have Ben Simmons, who will finally be healthy at some point. I think he should be ready to make his debut with the team when the season begins. I know he was recently cleared to do 3-on-3 scrimmages. That was a few days ago. I can't remember when exactly, but he's progressing quite well. I mean, he's been off for a very fucking long time, so I would hope that he's progressing well. You have Joe Harris, who's coming back. You have Seth Curry. You have Nick Claxton. You have Cam Thomas, who's another year deep in the league. You also have Royce O'Neal and TJ Warren, two signings who have gone under the radar because of all the hullabaloo going on with Kevin Durant. But TJ Warren is a legitimate bucket getter. I mean, this guy was a fucking beast in the bubble. Had 57 points or something a couple of years during the set of Mickey Mouse games. I mean, Royce O'Neal, tremendous 3-and-D player, which is a type of asset that every team could benefit from. You have, who the fuck else do they have? They had Edmund Sumner, who could provide quality minutes. I mean, this is a legitimately deep team. This is a legitimately talented team as well. I do feel that maybe Brooklyn is lacking a little bit in the center department. While they have Ben Simmons and while they have Nick Claxton, I'm very curious to see how their front court defense plays out. I'm very curious to see how Steve Nash manages that. They have Ben Simmons guard the smaller dudes on the perimeter where he will be, insanely effective, or do they have him play against guys like Giannis and Embiid and Bam and kind of be like the backbone of their defense? I think it's going to be really fascinating, especially because I've been watching the Nets get their fucking ass cheeks clapped on the glass every season since 2014, and it's really just super fucking annoying. But this is the best team that Brooklyn's going to trot out in Kevin Durant's tenure. I feel that if things do not go their way this year, that everyone will seriously consider shifting focus and potentially entering a rebuild, because their window is closing. Their window is closing super fast, and you have every team in the Eastern Conference getting significantly better. I mean, there are 5 teams. There are 5 teams this season in the Eastern Conference who could represent the East in the finals. You have Boston, of course. Boston's going to be the favorite, I feel, because, I mean, they just went to the finals, and that's usually how it goes. Milwaukee, I mean, they didn't do anything crazy this offseason. They're going to be bringing back all of their core all their core players. And I mean, at the end of the day, they still have Giannis. Okay, it doesn't matter what the rest of the fucking team looks like. Giannis now, much like LeBron in the all throughout the late 2000s and up until like 2 years ago, as long as you have Giannis, your team is going to be favorited to finish atop the conference. You have Philadelphia, Embiid, Harris, James Harden. I mean, we'll see what happens with James Harden, but even still, again, you have Joel Embiid. You have the league's leading scorer. You have the runner-up for league MVP. Brooklyn, of course, I don't think anyone is going to discount Brooklyn. You have Miami as well. I mean, Miami, you could say they underperformed this, in these playoffs. Their offense was kind of lackluster, a couple of games where shit just didn't go for them. But you can't dismiss the fact that they went 6 or 7 games against Boston, and they could have very easily beaten Boston had they adjusted more appropriately to Boston's defense and given Jimmy Butler some help. But they have JB, they have Bam, they have Tyler Hero. Like, you have 5 legitimate contenders coming out of the Eastern Conference. And that doesn't even, yeah, well, it is 5. Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Philly, and Miami. You also have Cleveland and Atlanta. Cleveland and Atlanta, I don't think are legitimate contenders, but I would not be surprised if one of them went to the conference finals. One of those 5 contenders that I just mentioned will be upset in the first round. It's just a matter of against who. Because you look at the team that Atlanta has, they have John Collins, DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter. That's a solid squad. And then, I'm forgetting about Chicago as well. You have Chicago, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso is going to come back. Lonzo Ball is going to come back. Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, I think, is still under contract. Chicago might also be a contender. So you have 6 teams potentially who could get to the finals. Like, Chicago has the talent. They might not have the same star power as all the other teams. Actually, they definitely don't have the star power compared to all the other teams. I love the DeMar and Zach LaVine combo, but that combo is probably 5th best in the East. You have Cleveland, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Jared Allen. That's a squad as well. And also, fuck it, we'll throw the Charlotte Hornets in there. We love LaMelo Ball around these parts. The New York Knicks might get a little goofy in Manhattan. The Knicks might qualify for a playoff seed. I'm not going to rule anything out. Jalen Brunson's a fantastic player, but the Eastern Conference is so fucking stacked. And I don't want to play the legacy game with Kevin Durant because I hate that, but I also have to do it for content because, Kevin Durant knows how people view him. There is not one person on this earth who will look at Kevin Durant and say he's a shitty basketball player. But there are people who view him as like a fraud. He left OKC to go to Golden State to win a couple of championships. Now, he could have very easily not won those titles, right? He could have thrown off the entire dynamic of Golden State, but I think it is really a testament to both Golden State and to Kevin Durant how quickly they assimilated with one another. I mean, I think that's something once all of this is done, once KD's retired and when he's getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame, that's going to be something we reflect on and be like, it is kind of crazy that Kevin Durant went to Golden State and they had immediate success, especially juxtaposed to him joining Brooklyn, which is a similar scenario. He's going to a new team with some star power, and look at how that's happened. I mean, this team has, basically, they haven't crashed and burned, but they haven't lived up to expectations. I think that Kevin Durant knows if he's really trying to reverse the minds of some of his haters. I mean, I ultimately, I don't think he gives a fuck about his haters, but it would be super sweet just for him to hop on Twitter next summer after knocking off teams like Boston and Philly and Miami and Cleveland, running through this Eastern Conference and then going to the finals, hopefully, God willing, inshallah, going to the finals and then taking down the Clippers, the Warriors, Dallas, maybe Denver. The tweets that he would be shooting off, I think that this man would be in the locker room, not even popping champagne. He would be on Twitter tweeting, just doing that whole, you know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. So I'm happy that KD is back. I'm not surprised. I'm not trying to flex my clairvoyance here, but I never really expected anything different to go down. But, of course, we're just taking it season by season. I just hope that there's no fucking clownery that goes on this year. I hope that the Nets, regardless of what happens in the postseason, I hope that they lose on their merits, or I hope that the other team beats them on merit as opposed to some unlucky shit going down. Because I'm not trying to discredit everything going on with or what Boston did this past year to them because they absolutely fucking decimated them. But, Kevin Durant gets hurt, misses a huge chunk of the season, it fucks up everything. Kyrie's in and out of the lineup. Then you have this whole shit going on with James Harden. Like, and I wish this for every team. Like, I hope that no team contending for a title has to go through some fucking clownery and buffoonery en route to a championship. But I'm super fucking excited for this season. If you're a basketball fan, you should be excited. If you're going into this season with the mindset of being a hater first and an enjoyer second, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because there is a tremendous amount of shit to look forward to. I mean, even if you're a fan of a bad team, even if you're a Pistons fan, like you get Cade Cunningham in his second year, dude could easily make a leap and average like 20 points, 7 boards, 6 assists or something. Every fan has something to look forward to this year. And especially if you're a fan of a team in the Northeast, you have even more shit to look forward to because it's going to be spicy out here. It's definitely going to be spicy.